Welcome back to the Future Archive. Today's archived broadcasts from 2026 offer a familiar blend of ambition, anxiety, and the occasional spreadsheet-shaped crisis. We'll witness the birth of a trillionaire, the monetization of sentience, and a nation debating its own carrying capacity. History, as ever, was being written by people who hadn't read the first draft. The first story. The first trillionaire and the last human problem. Elon Musk's net worth surpassed $1 trillion in 2026, a milestone celebrated with charts, press releases, and the quiet realization that no one could spend that much in a single lifetime. His empire now included Mars colonies, uninhabited but heavily branded, neural implants, beta testing on employees, and AI-driven cities, rendered in promotional videos. The achievement was framed as a triumph of innovation, though the charts did not include a line for societal value per dollar. From the vantage of 2050, Musk's $1 trillion valuation looks less like a finish line and more like a starting pistol. By then, AI-driven productivity had made his fortune seem almost quaint, like a child's first lemonade stand before the corporate takeover. The inequality debates of 2026 now read as charmingly naive. Spoiler, the problem wasn't the wealth gap. It was the gap between what humans could do and what they were needed for. The charts, incidentally, were later lost in the great spreadsheet crisis of 2043. $1 trillion buys a lot of things, but not, as it turned out, a plan. The second story. The IPO that ate the future. OpenAI's planned IPO, at a $100 billion valuation, set off a feeding frenzy among investors, all eager to own a piece of the next technological revolution. Ethical concerns were acknowledged, then neatly folded into the prospectus under risk factors. The race to fund ever more advanced AI systems continued unabated, with the implicit understanding that the first to achieve true sentience would also be the first to render its competitors obsolete. In 2050, we look back at this moment as the point where the financial world decided that the best way to regulate AI was to monetize it. Safety committees were formed, of course, mostly to reassure shareholders. The IPO itself was oversubscribed by a factor of 10, a sure sign that humanity's favorite strategy of postponing hard questions was in full effect. The intern assigned to the ethics compliance team would later become a cautionary tale. The market decided the future was priceless, then put a price on it anyway. The third story. Switzerland's demographic modesty. Swiss voters considered a proposal to cap the national population at 10 million, a figure chosen for its roundness rather than any scientific basis. Supporters argued it was a necessary step to preserve resources and quality of life. Opponents called it a dystopian overreach. The debate was conducted with Swiss precision, though no one could quite explain how the cap would be enforced without resorting to measures that were, in fact, dystopian. The Swiss, ever pragmatic, eventually settled on a compromise, a non-binding resolution to consider the idea at some future date. By 2050, the question had been rendered moot by the great subsidization, which made population caps seem as outdated as watchmaking. Still, the 2026 debate serves as a useful reminder that humanity has always been better at asking questions than answering them. The only thing harder than capping a population is capping a debate about capping a population. The fourth story. Deepfakes, democracy, and the usual suspects. Nigel Farage's Reform Party accused X, formerly Twitter, of hosting AI-generated propaganda, including deepfake ads designed to influence elections. The platform's response was to point to its terms of service, which had last been updated in 2023 and made no mention of sentient algorithms. The incident was one of many that year, as political campaigns and foreign actors alike discovered the cost-effective joys of synthetic outrage. This was in many ways the first skirmish in the subscription wars, as platforms began charging political campaigns for verified authenticity badges. By 2050, such badges had become as ubiquitous as they were meaningless. The 2026 incident also marked the last time a human was definitively blamed for a deepfake campaign. Evidence later suggested an intern may have clicked something. Democracy met its match in a technology that could out-pandering the pandering. The fifth story. Erasing history, one court order at a time. A court ordered the removal of Donald Trump's name from the Kennedy Center, citing his controversial legacy. Supporters called the decision a necessary correction. Critics decried it as censorship. Historians, meanwhile, were left wondering whether future generations would even notice the absence, given the accelerating pace of cultural amnesia. From 2050, this moment seems almost poignant. The Kennedy Center would by then be one of the last human-curated cultural institutions, its halls filled with performances generated by AI and attended by an audience of nostalgia seekers. The Trump name, ironically, would reappear in 2048 when a particularly aggressive algorithm adopted it as a branding exercise. As for the court order, it was later ruled unenforceable due to a clerical error. Mistakes were made. History, it turns out, is written by the victors and then edited by the algorithms. The year 2026 was a time when humanity still believed it was in control of its own narrative. The charts were rising, the IPOs were oversubscribed, and the debates were polite. By 2050, we would look back and marvel at how quaint it all seemed. The past, as always, is not going anywhere. This has been the Future Archive.